All right, this is episode 6 of the Department Podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, and basically everywhere else. Justin Valentovic, joined by Stephen Clark, Jesse Norman, Joseph Palantonio. So last time, this past weekend, we did a quick little emergency New York news, brief type of sports podcast. Jamal Adams getting traded, Tom Thibodeau, becoming the Knicks head coach to be eventually. So we're not going to touch on that too much this episode, but we're back to our normal format of MLB, NFL, NBA. The NHL is happening, but we're not really going to talk about it that much. In the world of the MLB, The Marlins, basically half of them were tested positive for COVID-19. Basically, worst case scenario for Rob Manfred and the entirety of the MLB. Yet the MLB themselves, they're just keep chugging along and quarantine the Marlins and just hoping for the best at this point.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not good. Like I said from the beginning, the MLB has done a horrible job, I think, altogether with dealing with coronavirus and the way it started. Like the NBA, like I've said, the best way, every single organization needed to have a bubble. We saw with the NBA, their test just came back today. It came back phenomenally. Like without a bubble, you're traveling from city, from state to state, and cases are going to happen. It's all over the place. It's almost unavoidable when you do stuff like that.
What the MLB is being ridiculous. Rob Manfred has been oblivious to this entire situation, and here's the biggest problem: is that Miami having 16 cases is not the worst part of the story. The worst part of the story is that Miami knew they had 16 cases and decided to suit up and play the Philadelphia Phillies. They knew, Don Mattingly knew it, the players voted, and they decided that they should play, putting not just the Philadelphia Phillies, but also the New York Yankees, and then everyone else, those two teams will play in tremendous jeopardy. And Rob Manfred not releasing a statement, but going on national television and saying that this is not a nightmare scenario is embarrassing. This is the nightmare scenario. These are, like a whole group of players. This is enough to debilitate and demoralize an entire league. It's all it takes is one squad. And just because it's the Marlins and not Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, everyone's kind of chilling about it. But you put it in a bigger market, and this is probably handled a little differently.
Yeah, for sure.
Before the NBA right around when they were suspended, there were people saying like, oh, well, if the Jazz have it, how can a team, how quick can it go to other teams? And basically they had put together every team in this timeline of about like 4 or 5 days. So it affecting one team can very quickly spread throughout the entire league, especially if there is no bubble, which the MLB is not doing and the players did not agree to. I guess the silver lining here is that it happened super early in the season and not like midway through, where then the Marlins played a bunch of different teams. At that point, they had only really played one. The fact that the players knew, though, and voted to play is just, that's just insane. Like, that's immature. That's putting other people at risk.
Yeah.
That's irresponsible because and that's really where it comes down to at this point, because I saw a tweet, I think it was Joel Sherman, John Heyman, one of them, where it's like another MLB COVID test was positive. This time it was only a Marlin again. So clearly it's the players there that aren't taking it serious. Maybe one or a few went out, before the season started and got it from somewhere in Miami, because obviously the nightlife in Miami is a lot better than, say, St. Petersburg for the Tampa Rays. So even though they're in the same state, two different cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly selfish too if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's very selfish. Like, we know you've been sitting out the last couple of months, like begging to play the game, but if you have the disease, sit out. Just don't play. Don't think about yourself for a second. Think about the teammates. Think about the incoming teams. Think about all the teams in the league. Think about the front office, the people who are going to be around the stadium, the ground crew, and everybody. Just don't think about yourself. Think about everybody else.
I think they lucked out, like Joe said, that this wasn't a bigger market because it's the Marlins, and who really cares about the Marlins?
Yeah.
But
The first place
like
Marlins.
Justin said, the state is entirely different between Miami and Tampa. I know at one point, Miami-Dade County, the positivity rate, this was like around like a week or two ago, it was like 20%. Like 1 out of every 5 people in a county were positive for COVID. So if you're going out and you're not isolating as a member of the Marlins, yeah, you are most likely going to get it. And you are then putting the rest of the league in danger. But this, for me, it just really comes down to the fact that they didn't do a bubble. The players didn't want to do a bubble. It is very clearly far and away the safest option, as the NHL and the NBA has showed us.
But also, this also puts validation to Canada saying how they don't want teams, especially like the Marlins, coming into their country. And look at who literally the first team to have a major outbreak was the Miami Marlins. And the issue with how you could even say, like, it's not okay, but it's better that it only impacted just the Marlins, that no test came back positive for the Phillies. But look at the initial ripple effect. It canceled 4 games for 3 other teams then because of it, because they were away and they played in the visitors' dugout, and clubhouse at Citizens Bank Park. Obviously then the Yankees didn't want to go there right away. But then the Orioles were supposed to then travel down to Miami to play, and those games got canceled. And now they had to move the schedule up and rearrange it to give time for both the Phillies and the Marlins especially to figure out what the hell they're going to do now with half their team. Are they going to have to call up half their prospects on the 60-man, sign free agents, or do something to patchwork this team at that point?
There's 2 big things, glaring things that have come out of this. That should outrage me and every other fan. The first thing is that right before the season, Didi Gregorius, Philly shortstop, came out and said that he has a pre-existing condition. It's very serious, that he's going to be wearing a mask, and he hopes that other people do, and he hopes that people are taking it seriously. And he needed to play this season. Everyone's saying like he should have opted out, but this is a 1-year prove-it deal. He really had to play in order to secure his financial future this season. So now you have a guy like Didi Gregorius, who's at a painful risk of COVID-19, having to play against the Miami Marlins because they selfishly decided to play. Very, very scary stuff. And the second thing is that, yes, the big story here, the big headline is that no Phillies players or coaches have tested positive for COVID-19. The problem is that a member of the Citizens Bank Park staff who worked in the opposing clubhouse, in the Miami Marlins clubhouse this weekend, did catch COVID-19. And these are the things that are dangerous because it's not affecting the players on the field or the coaches. Literally every single person that goes into the game is, at risk. And just because, no one in the Phillies starting 9 didn't get it does not mean this is any less serious. Because, there's no difference. It's still a number. It's still a positive test, whether it is Bryce Harper, whether it is Joe Schmo in the clubhouse.
Yeah, and are you guys okay with how MLB's moving the schedule around to just keep chugging along? Because at this point, it's a clear sign that they should stop, but they're not going to. And moving the schedule shows that they have no intention. If this happens again, say 3-4 weeks from now to another team, this is kind of the blueprint for how they're going to handle it, it seems like now.
The only way I think they're going to stop is if multiple teams, like pretty much what happened to the Marlins happens to multiple teams, and they kind of have to. But otherwise, I think they're just going to postpone the games, cancel a couple here and there, and then play them later on. But yeah, I really think they're digging their heels in. They're not going to stop unless they literally have to.
And they want to play. You hear McCutcheon, you hear everyone on the Yankees, like they're saying that they don't want to stop. And if the players are still into it, Rob Manfred is going to take advantage of that. They have no real reason to stop now. And am I okay with how they changed the schedule around? I'm a Yankee fan, and they're in Baltimore for the next 2 nights. So yeah, I'm okay.
So last little bit on this then. Oh God, what was I going to say now? Wow, I literally just completely forgot what I was going to say then.
Well, maybe
it'll come back to me eventually, though.
When it comes back, it comes back.
Who cares? Let's talk about the Red Sox pitching because the Orioles just got out of there. The Mets just wrapped up a 2-game series against them. This is probably the worst pitching staff in all of baseball, top to bottom. Starters
so I've ever seen. It's the worst.
So much fun to watch. So much fun to watch as a Mets fan the last 2 days. But no, but the Mets looked good. Red Sox looked horrible. Literally no pitching. They're starting their relievers. It's horrible. Like all the trades they made obviously didn't help them, and also the coronavirus isn't helping them as well. So they do not look good, but that's okay with me.
So
I'm going to take every bet against the Red Sox for the year. Just like locking it in. Pretty much 0-6.
For our audio-only listeners, Mr. Jesse Norman is frozen in our video.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little
Jesse's battling some technical laptop issues on his and his.
What are you going to do?
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So
yeah, they're not good.
After Nathan Eovaldi shut down the Red Sox, 6 innings, 1 earned run on opening day, the Red Sox pitchers have thrown 39 innings and have given up 30 earned runs.
Oh,
that's horrible.
It's not good.
I mean, you're talking 2 years ago, this team won the championship on the backs of their starting pitching. Right now,
they have no starting pitching.
Here we have Martin Perez, 7.20 ERA right now. Ryan Weber, 14.73. Matt Hall, 10.13. Josh Osich got the start. Career journeyman was starting in the first week for the Boston Red Sox, 6 ERA. Jeffrey Springs, he pitched yesterday, 33.75 ERA.
Yeah, no.
It's a good number, 33.75.
The Red Sox legitimately, because of this pitching staff, might be in play now for the first overall pick in the draft.
Very possible. If a lackluster middle of the ranked team like the Mets could do what they just did against the Red Sox, they're for sure going to have the number 1 pick.
Not even the Mets. The Orioles took 2 out of 3 from them.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that too. Yeah, like literally like mid to mid-low teams right there raking against Boston is not good. Not good for them.
And especially Devers can't hit a ball to save his life at this point. You know,
Yeah, I was gonna go after the offense a little bit. I mean, Justin, I think you can agree with me, and I think it's time for everyone in the baseball community to accept that Andrew Benintendi is not good.
Oh, he's been steadily declining since like his rookie year, and it's just he's not a good hitter.
He is embarrassingly putrid at the plate.
Yeah.
And has been. But I mean, he can't. He's not seeing it well at all.
Their offense literally is focused around JD Martinez, and that's it now. Because no one else can hit. Bogarts can't even hit that much now.
Evers even took a slide.
Yeah.
They fell fast and hard.
Yeah.
And this was a year too that they didn't necessarily have to move Mookie or Price. You know, they elected to do that. They could have just wrote out Mookie's contract and let him go to free agency and just tender him and take a draft pick that way. They elected to move him earlier in the offseason. You know, they fully embraced this.
Bleacher Report came out and gave like over-unders for each team and should you take them. The Red Sox over-under, I believe, was like 27.5.
I'm taking the hard under now.
They recommended to take the over. Bleacher Report said take the over.
Bleacher Report's not good.
So that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, get out of here. Come on.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that like the Red Sox, and they say this is the worst team that they've ever actually seen. And
they've seen some bad teams.
They have seen some bad teams.
Yeah, they're like, this is the worst one I think we've ever seen. Like, every win is a blessing. One friend was like, if we legitimately have like 15 wins, I would not be surprised.
Neither would I.
And they're using their best starting pitcher tonight. Their only real starting pitcher tonight, Nathan Eovaldi, which, you know, should give them the best chance to win. Except
we have the best pitcher in the league.
Jacob deGrom.
Exactly. We have the best
I don't
pitcher in the
usually
league.
like to do that. I don't like fumble with the rotation. But if I'm the Red Sox, I would have started Eovaldi against anyone else on the Mets rotation.
Do it tomorrow night or when this gets posted tonight against Matt. I believe Matt is the number 2 right now.
Or wait and go against Porcello.
He got to go down to number 5. That was horrible. That was disgusting. Like, it made me sick to my stomach watching that. That just reminded me of like the bullpen pitching. Honestly, just
It was embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing. But the other pitcher, Waka, did phenomenally.
I know.
The rookie, Peterson, did great. Waka.
Mats was good.
Mats was great. DeGrom, we already know what to expect from DeGrom. And Peterson made his rookie debut last night, and that was phenomenal as well.
You guys were one pitch away from taking 2 out of 3 from the Braves.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Betances looked fine last night.
Exactly.
Lugo is your best reliever.
For sure.
That's still a proven fact.
The only one I'm worried about, obviously, out of the Power 5 is Familia.
Familia, really?
He looked like a disaster.
I think Diaz looked even worse.
I could see Familia being the mop-up guy.
Yeah,
I get that, but it's they're tied for me, Diaz and Familia still. I don't know.
Especially with Diaz being 1 for 2 on saves this year. Yeah. He needs to have a short leash.
He made a good pitch. Ozuna just
hit it better. Hit it better. Yeah, it was a better hit than a better pitch. But,
I'm not worried about Diaz.
Well, like I've been saying, we'll have to wait and see.
But see, even with the Mets, though, if Diaz is continually at what point, though, do they just give him the hook as the closer role? Because they can't ride him out and just say he'll eventually fix himself. There's got to be some amount of blown saves that they say this is enough and just try someone else.
Well, they have to try to get his confidence back. That's number one. Yeah, you have to put him in these blowout games like last night's and the other one the night before. Probably tonight too, if we're lucky enough. But put him in these blowout games. Gain his confidence back. Once he has that confidence, try putting him in a 1 or 2 run game and try to get the save. If that doesn't work out, then boot him. Boot him down.
Really what they should do, one day just throw him out as an opener, just for the hell of it. Let him face the top of the order. No, let him face the top of the order, get a few outs, and see if he gets his confidence that way. And if he screws up, you have time to recover.
Hey, anything instead of Rick Porcello. I'll take that.
This is utterly ridiculous. He is one of the most talented closers in the league.
Was one of the most talented closers.
He is. He pitched great over the weekend. I'm not worried.
He has a good pitch.
Be worried. You should not be worried.
He has one good pitch.
It's going to be fine.
I'll take your word, but we'll see.
So keeping it in the NL East a little bit, right before we started recording this, a tweet came across. Nick Markakis is opting back into the season to play.
Shouldn't be allowed.
Is that allowed?
It is now.
Get out of here. I don't want him. Get out.
I mean, I don't think you should be able to opt out then opt back in.
The Braves can't hit, so they need this. Really, really need this.
Yeah, they do.
If he's opting back in, he's got to take tests. I would say take tests for at least a week straight before you can play easily.
Yeah, no, got to be tested.
You can't put other players at risk.
Even wait the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not safe. It's almost not fair in a way because he already said he was opting out, and just to come back, that's almost like what Antonio Brown's doing, retiring and unretiring, just coming back and forth. But
okay, well, it's a little different because Antonio Brown's not signed by a team.
You got a point there.
No, you can't. This
can't be doing that.
Work in any of the sports. You can't. I don't like opting out and coming back in. You're putting other players at danger at that point.
Agree.
So now what this is going to do, they'll be able to move Ozuna to the DH, put Markakis in the left, and the lineup is going to be so much better with
it will be
at the DH because they were throwing out Austin Riley, who he can't hit a lick. I think the guy was good for the first week of his career last year, and he's done. So thank goodness. I mean, that's going to lengthen the lineup a little bit. We'll see what happens. I mean, Acuna's going to get himself going too. Yikes.
Yeah, he needs to wake up though. He's been slumping.
Playing well.
He's not that good of a hitter anyway.
He's a power hitter where he'll hit like a double or a home run, but he's not a guy who'll constantly get on base with a high average or take a walk. That's the thing. He shouldn't be a leadoff hitter.
Yeah, I don't like that.
They should be batting him 2 or 3 as hot as the highest positions in the order for him. So also, when we were recording this past weekend, little news on Verlander came through, mid-podcast. The initial report was he was out for the year with an elbow injury. Then it came out literally a few hours after that, he came out saying it's just forearm strain or tightness, and, they're going to rest him for a little bit, and he should be back. Smokescreen buying into it. What are your guys' stance on it?
I don't think he's coming back.
Okay.
All right.
Doesn't think he's coming back.
No. I think he's trying to downplay the injury so that when he does come back next year, people expect like, oh, it was a little injury. It's not as bad. Like he sat the whole year. He wasn't injured the whole year.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was false information getting out. That's all it is. People are over-exaggerating. I think everything's good and well, but it's just people over-exaggerating.
Everybody wants to be the first ones to break the story.
And especially a big story like that, one of the top pitchers in the league, one of the biggest names in the sport, and it's just false information getting out. That's honestly what it is.
You can assume that just because he said it's going to be 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks till they reevaluate it. So, yeah. I mean, so let's say best case scenario, they reevaluate it and he's fine. Then you have to build him back up. He has to go through the rehab. He hadn't pitched for 2 weeks, so you can't just run right back up. We're still not going to see him until maybe the end of August, like at the earliest, the beginning of September.
Yeah.
And then at that point, he might as well just sit out the season.
Honestly, it's not worth it.
And if it's an elbow injury, that's just screaming for trouble.
Yeah. And I think and that's almost what you want to try to avoid, because a forearm injury could potentially lead to an elbow injury, which then for a pitcher of his age especially could be extremely catastrophic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Doesn't need that.
So one of the last few things before we, take a break and head over to the NBA and the NFL, it was a Monday night, I want to say Tuesday night, around on Twitter, a video started circulating of what allegedly showed a Yankee staff employee of some caliber with a camera in center field over, the club in Monument Park, pointed directly at a catcher and potentially allegedly recording signs. There's multiple conflicting reports, some saying this is cheating in the 2018 wildcard game against the Oakland Athletics, while some are saying this was a slow motion camera being used to record film that was pre-approved by the MLB. Whatever it is, for me personally, there's enough there to re-look into it, at least to some degree. Simple as that. Yeah. Joe thinks just because it's the Yankees, everything's A-okay in the Bronx. Right, Joe?
Okay. I have been consistent about this since day one. The Red Sox, I could have gone after the Red Sox. I could have lambasted the Red Sox for their use of cameras and decoding signs from second base in their 2018 championship run. I did not, because what they were doing was so much on a different scale than what the Astros were doing. So it's very important to get these distinctions. The Astros were feeding the signs directly to the player while they were at the plate. What the Red Sox were doing was using the cameras to decode the signs, and if someone is at second base could have that research from before the game, they would know. So they were using footage not live, but they were studying it in the film room and then bringing it outside onto the field. That, I believe, is more gamesmanship. The sportsmanship issue is when you have the signs being fed to the hitter as they're coming in. That's why the Astros were so unfair. And that's why with this Yankee thing, it's impossible, because the scheme that was supposedly happening with this Yankee correspondent out in center field was supposedly, this is from the guy, this Michael Schwab, Houston writer, of course, Houston writer that came out and dropped this piece. He said that Yankee guy, camera on the plate, sees the sign, texts it to the dugout. The dugout gets the text, relays that to the third base coach. Third base coach relays it to the hitter. It's not possible. It's not possible that quickly the Yankees could have been receiving the signs that quick. So that's number one. Number two, even if the Yankees were guilty and this is a cheating, I could see is a light fine. I don't see anybody losing a job. I don't see Aaron Boone losing a job, because this would just be an unauthorized use of a camera, similar to how the Red Sox used the Apple Watches a few years ago. This would not be anything even close to on par with the Astros. And number 3, and this is the biggest one, is that Andy Martino, who has been a pioneer for sign-stealing scandals in the league, has done investigation, has done piece and piece after this for years, even before the Astros thing. He came out and said that MLB has done 2 separate investigations into the Yankees. They scrubbed the camera. They scrubbed this guy's cell phone. No wrongdoing. So excuse me for not wanting to jump to this wild conclusion after seeing a grainy video that could be of anything, from anything, of a guy who in plain sight is taking a video of the pitcher. Because of course, why would they do this in plain sight? And also, why would there be just this weird sketchy footage that looks like it was taken on a Nintendo DSi? That's my point.
I get the point that you're trying to make. I do. But it's like cheating on a test. You have a cheat sheet, or you look over at your friend's paper. It's cheating no matter what.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if... That's when the teacher launches 2 separate investigations into whether or not you were cheating and finds that you weren't cheating. That's why when somebody raises their hand from the back of the classroom where they can't really see you in the front of the classroom trying to cheat and says, "Oh, teacher, he's cheating." And the teacher's like, "Yeah, we went over this. He's not actually cheating. We looked into it." And you're like, "But
what if he is? But what if he is?
Then that would have shown up in the investigation.
And it's worth looking at again then. Because to me, watching the footage, it looks like it's cheating. It doesn't matter if it's cheating a lot like the Astros did or a little bit like the Yankees did. Cheating is cheating.
Like nothing, because the footage is grainy.
Maybe that was the point. Maybe that was the whole plan all along, to have grainy-looking footage.
And also, apparently, I don't know much about cameras. Apparently, if you were streaming it somewhere, there would have been like a light or a switch or something. And people like John Boy, great Yankee podcaster, very, very familiar with camera and this type of equipment, said that the streaming light or whatever wasn't even on.
That's what he said.
But here's the thing, Joe. You were immediately discrediting the Astros beat writer. So how is a Yankee podcasting fan any more legit than him?
I'm not saying he's legit. I'm just saying he said that the thing wasn't streamed. Okay.
Gave him pretty high praise.
Even if it wasn't, whatever. But you think that Rosenthal, Passan, Heyman, anyone even remotely credible would have this and not just some Astros beat writer who nobody
So just because he's an Astros beat writer, he's not credible? So you're saying the media is not credible then?
You're blowing this out of proportion. I think he got sent a video and he saw the opportunity for some clicks, so he posted the video. That's it. I think that when I get a text from Justin Valentovic telling me to take this with a grain of salt, and then him proceeding to not take it with a grain of salt, I'll be a little upset.
It's all it is that it's worth looking into again.
I agree.
And if the Yankees are so high and mighty and clean,
they should have no problem.
Exactly, that's the thing.
They have no problem. Yeah.
We've investigated the Yankees so many times for these things.
Oh my god!
Then do it again if they're so clean.
Okay.
They probably won't do it again because the Yankees is the golden team of the MLB, and they want to protect it at all costs.
Didn't they suspend A-Rod for an entire season? Like, you really want to
have
talk?
a choice?
Yeah, right. They didn't have a choice. He was cheating.
I didn't even watch baseball at the time, and everybody on the planet knew A-Rod was using steroids.
Yeah,
everybody knew.
You act like the MLB is out to protect the Yankees. They changed the rule. They changed the wild card and division rule to hurt the Yankees, essentially. Because after that one season where the Yankees wanted to take the wild card win and not the division win so they can manipulate the opponent, then they took that away the next year. I mean, if they were trying to protect the Yankees, they would have kept it.
Because the Yankees are such a poverty franchise and always the underdog, right?
Yeah, wow, Yankees. Come on.
MLB doesn't have this pro-Yankee agenda.
Business is better when the Yankees are better.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Ratings are up. Everything's up. It's just how it is.
You're telling me they wouldn't want a Dodger-Yankee World Series for ratings?
For ratings? I'm sure they would enjoy it, yeah. But 2016, one of the highest-rated World Series ever was the Cubs-Indians.
Because the storyline with the Cubs. That's all it was there. They haven't won a title in 100 years. It's a storyline. People
Both
love
teams.
stories like that. People love feel-good stories. That's another reason to tune in.
Cubs, Indians.
And the Yankees feel good when they cheat against the helpless A's.
The helpless A's. Helpless A's.
It's okay they didn't win the World Series, but it's okay they only
lost-
screwed over a
And they
team.
lost 16-1 to Boston at home. So tell me what happened there. What was going on there, bud?
Yankees suck then that game.
Good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Joe, you're opposed to them looking back into it though?
I would no. Good. I welcome them to look back into it because
Okay.
it's going to be inconclusive. They're not going to find anything.
Cool.
All right, fine.
So you act like MLB.
But you're acting like it's just such a relevant story, but clearly that's something there. You say, people know what the Astros did. They cheated. They had a camera in center field. We don't know what that looks like. Clearly this is a camera in center field.
Yeah, exactly. A camera.
And Joe, you were also like, it could be the old stadium. The old stadium didn't have the Delta freaking skybox in right field either.
Okay, from the angle, the camera was pointing
Not
down.
at all.
You saw the fence, and the fence had a light blue padding. Could have been the tint of the lights, maybe a filter, but it was resemblant of the old stadium.
It's also the big ass club in center field at Yankee Stadium
Yes.
that they were sitting on top of. But that's here nor there.
It's ridiculous.
As far as I'm concerned, they look back into this. If nothing comes out of it, leave the Yankees alone for a little bit because they've looked into them a couple times. Nothing comes back. But it is
Fine.
definitively
Also-
worth looking into.
Also, if the MLB was going to protect a team, this young, exciting new dynasty with the Houston Astros, why would they want to drop this bombshell on them now? Like, if the MLB was really going to try to protect people, why wouldn't they try to protect their dynasty?
There was no protecting the Astros.
They could have.
They were full on just cheating. That's
Yeah.
like saying the NFL should have tried to save the Patriots because they were the new fun dynasty.
But that's what you guys are saying.
They were cheating.
And that's what Justin is saying, though, that they would try to save the Yankees.
Well, no. A new dynasty doesn't compare to the franchise model. The Yankees
Agreed.
have how many rings over the years?
27.
27.
I've heard it plenty of times from Yankees fans.
That's a whole lot different than a team that just won 3 in the past 10 years. The Yankees are the franchise.
Like probably in all of sports.
They are the Los Angeles Lakers. They are the New York Knicks, but better. They are the franchise of that league.
They're probably the biggest franchise in all of sports, if we're being honest.
I would definitely
They are.
agree.
There
You
you
can
go.
thank Jay-Z for that.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up this part of the podcast, initial thoughts though from the opening, basically week or so of baseball.
I'm sticking to my point. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, a little less juice? More juice? How are you guys feeling?
About the same as last season.
About
I
the
really think
same?
that, I can honestly say that I think that there's a mixture. I know it sounds crazy, but there are some balls that are just dying on the warning track.
Yeah.
And then I see some home runs. Like the White Sox Twins series.
Both they put up a
Hi.
What
Oh,
sucks?
looked so
Tell me about it.
yeah.
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 I'm sticking to my point that cardboard cutouts are good
it definitely
because-
helps. I like it.
because the Red Sox games I was watching the other 2 nights it was like very hard to watch with all the red seats in the background. It's kind of hurt my eyes a little bit, but like having like the mixture of all the cardboards was fun and entertaining, especially the dog ones in like right field of all the Mets players. So
Didn't
that was fun.
McNeil pull one into like Conforto's dog?
Yeah, it might have been the other way around. I think it
Yeah.
was McNeil's dog that got hit, but yeah. Yeah.
My biggest point, my biggest takeaway from this weekend is stop trying to kill off the Cubs. They're not dead yet. They're a good team. They're solid. Like the way they're
They're
constructed,
solid.
solid. Everyone's trying to say that the dynasty's over, pack it up for the Cubs. Not quite yet. That's it.
Okay, I like that.
All right. Well, this is the end of part 1 of episode 6. When we come back for part 2, we'll talk about the NBA's return and the ultimate fate moving forward of the future of the NFL. Make sure you listen to that.